What's good, y'all? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, representing Team King of Games. And as I told you guys, I let you know what's up. I was taking my True King Yang Zings, and me and my team, we all went to Dallas today. We went to the regionals, and me and my boy Colton, we both got the same exact record. We both went X-3. I was like literally one win away from my top, but nonetheless, like I was so happy with my progress and just how the deck played. Like, dude, I was like the only True King Yang Zing player in the tournament. And like everybody thought I was playing dinos, and it was so funny. I'm like, no, fam. Like this is where it's at right here. But without further ado, I'm gonna just hop right into this main deck list because it's pretty savage, and I've been loving how the deck works. You might get in a little closer for me. Yeah. So I'm playing 3 copies of Lithosagem. This is actually my favorite of all the True Kings. Not only because of his artwork, he's like a wolf, angel, monster, but well, yeah, he eats your babies and stuff. But anyways, like his best effect, like all of his effects are the best to me, but like. In True King Yang Zing specifically, when he's destroyed, he special summons any worm type that's not an earth. I've brought back Dinlongs, I brought back Calamities, I brought back Chaofeng, I brought back Baxia, and then used Baxia to bring back Magma Dragon, then Magma Dragon to bring back Dinlong, then Synchro with Dinlong, and Magma Dragon, Chaofeng, no Conductor, no Miscellaneous Saurus, then special summon another floater. Like there's so much recovery in this deck, it's insane, but this guy is just so powerful, and he also gets rid of that problem, which is Abyss Dweller. The thing that most people argue with me all day saying that my deck lose to, like I can get rid of it first turn. And he also gives you the necessary information for you to know what you're playing before your opponent even gets a chance, to go. So I really love this guy, and I feel that out of all the True Kings, he actually provides like the most utility for the deck. So I love him a lot. And then my second favorite is Borastos the Fathomer. Like the Lithosagem the Disaster is just really powerful, as I explained, because he's in his own deck. Everything is worm types. But Borastos, one of my favorite combos. So like if you don't open up with Jiaotu, and if you open up with Beyond, like remember I explained to you guys in that combo tutorial where if you open with a matching True King, a matching Yang Zing, and Borastos, you could pretty much do the whole Jiaotu combo without Jiaotu. And you end with the plus, you can search 2 9 pillars, and you get your full board for free. You could have a floater and a Calamities, and it's just like, what's up? Like Calamities double 9 pillars, what are you gonna do? Like Ash in hand. So Borastos is insane. Like there have been so many crazy combos where I've actually like resolved his effect with Calamities on the field. Pop 2 monsters, banish 2 back rows, clear 4 cards just to summon him. Like all I did was summon him, and I cleared 4 cards from my opponent's field. Like that's insane. Like this deck breaks boards like no other. It's just really powerful. This guy is just so good, man. I really love him a lot. And there are also times like where I open with 2 Yang Zing cards, but not Jiaotu. Like I'll activate my diagram and pop him, search Lithosagem, and then off of his effect, special Jiaotu. Like every True King becomes a Yang Zing. Like that's why I think this deck is so beautiful, because you can open with no Yang Zings and end your field with nothing but Yang Zings. It's crazy. And then for Marianne, I had to cut her down to 1. It wasn't because she was a bad card. It wasn't because she was bricking. It was literally because I had to make room for Ghost Ashes. So that was the main thing. And I also played 1 copy of Agni Mazud. For the most part, these tend to act as combo overextenders. Because if I open with Lithosagem and Borastos, I have instant Calamities, but I like using his actual effect to pop monsters to summon. So I'll use these guys. I'll call her attribute, or I'll call his attribute, and then pop 2 monsters and banish. And also there's a game where I literally got the True Draco player down to like 7 cards in game 1. Like he was grinding it out, and he just couldn't kill any of my stuff. He's just playing pure True Draco. Like all he was doing was just popping my cards. I was like, okay. Effective special, and he wasn't playing Ashes. Like I'm like, okay, man. Like I was just grinding it out, and then I saw his deck was kind of little, so I was like, call win, banish 4. I thought I would deck him out, but he ended up having 7. I was like, I'm gonna try this one more time. But I really love like the True Kings in this deck. The best effects are obviously Earth and Water. That's why I play them at 3. In addition to that, they have more targets for their attributes. Now playing Ash, I have a bit more targets with him, but I would never use Ash on for his effective summon unless it's like absolutely mandatory and I know that I'm going for game. But the True King lineup, as you can imagine, actually used to be 11 and now it's 8, and it kind of makes my balls hurt, but like I had to make sacrifices for the hand traps, and the hand traps did a lot of justice. And in technical terms, I'm not like losing out on any True Kings. It's just like I'm losing out on numbers on them. I actually kind of debated whether or not I wanted to play Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. I'm still kind of debating on that.
Yeah, you can play that.
3 copies of Jiaotu. This guy is like the MVP. Most people say, oh, this card loses to Ash. You have to know how to play it. As I explained to you guys, there's a combo where you can literally diagram into this. And for the most part, if you have diagram, they're going to ash that. They're not going to ash, you know, anything but that diagram. When they see the diagram, they'll ash it, or they'll, you know, ash the Optimus Prime. I mean, the terraforming. They'll ash the terraforming, then you're good to go. Like, if you open with Jiao 2 and terraforming, play the terraforming first. Jiao 2 is way more important than diagram because he gets you so far in the game. This is like the Zodiac Barrage of the deck. It's just not a one-card combo. And then we're also playing 3 copies of Beyond the Earth. I have to play 3 of him, not only to have targets for Lithosagem, but my Jiao 2 combo requires to have 1 of him in the deck. In addition to that, he's one of my favorite floaters. Most people forget that he brings one out in defense. Some people think, oh, it has to have, you know, it has to have 0 attack. That's Jiao 2. Like, Beyond and Swanee bring them out in defense. So sometimes I'll summon him in defense. Then when he dies, summon Swanee in defense. Swanee dies. Then I'll summon Chiwin in defense. Then Chiwin dies. And then I'll summon this guy in defense. Then he dies. Then I'll finally summon, like, something big. It's just like, it's crazy. It's a better way to float. Most Yang Zing players start with the defense one and then bring those guys out in attack. But you have to be careful with that because if you're going into time, you don't want to take any damage. So I really, really like his floating ability. What the freaking heck? So yeah, 3 copies of Beyond the Earth. I really, really love his effect. And also, you know, making your synchros unable to be destroyed by battle and immune to spells and traps. The only way that your opponent actually can get over you is either by a monster effect or a kaiju. And the funny thing is, in one of my Dino matchups today, I made this guy with Earth, Fire, and Light. Like, that was literally everything that he had except for Overraptor himself. It's like he just couldn't out this card. And I'm like, I mean, I know, you know, you main deck the Gale Dagoron. I was wondering, like, was he going to normal summon, you know, Overraptor and Kaiju it? And he never did. And I was like, well, you know, I did have the 9 pillars anyway. So I was kind of like, all right, I'm good. But, like, you could just literally make invincible synchros, and it's really cool. Like, I freaking love this deck, man. Like, when we get to the extra deck, I'm going to explain all these crazy stuff. Like, all this crazy stuff I was doing to people where they kind of were telling me, like, dude, you can't do that, but I really can. 2 copies of Zafranu. Most Yang Zing players kind of give this card a write-off and assume that he's bad. You have to play him for the combos. Like, if I open up with either Jiao 2 or if I open up with Barastos, and, like, I could open up literally with Barastos, any Yang Zing, and a diagram, and then it'll end up becoming the combo I explained with him, and him. And off of that, you summon Chiwin and Magma Dragon to bring him back. You make Dinlong to search for the Yang Zing path. Then you synchro with this and Baxia. Dinlong's effect kicks in, specials him from the deck. Then you use Baxia to pop him, and then he searches 9 pillars. Now, if you open with Yang Zing path, you're just going to search double 9 pillars. And there was actually a game where I was like, I know I'm not going to get enough Yang Zings in the graveyard. So I literally just searched double 9 pillars, and I opened triple pillars in a strike. I was like, I don't even think I'm going to lose this game. Like, it was just really, really savage. So without him, you wouldn't actually be able to do that. He's your secondary searcher. Most people just play Dinlong, you know, the search. But I find it to be an overextender, and also him being a level 6. When you make your Dinlong, you can use this to make his level 6. And that's when you synchro with Bixie. It's very important to make your synchros unaffected by traps for the true Draco matchup so their traps can't pop you. So it's like, this deck is crazy. Like, it has immunities too. Like, you can literally just make your stuff like unaffected. It's really, really cool. 2 copies of Swanee the Fire. For the most part, it is to beef stuff up. But there are those combos where if you have Chiwin and Grave when you made your Dinlong, I'll actually, instead of making the Herald dude, the level 4, I'll make another Dinlong and use his effect and search and set myself up for next turn. Because like sometimes it's like you know, I can get Herald of the Orc Light or I can get Dinlong. Dinlong's a floater. I want to keep my field presence. So I'll use Dinlong, you know, the first turn Dinlong I made, to go into a second Dinlong on their turn. And Swanee's the only way you can do that because it's with him and Chiwin and Grave. Activate him to sync on their turn. Then I play 2 copies of the Water. Not only for the Barastos targets, but again to make my synchros unaffected by traps. And then also when you make your Chao Feng, you know, just in case, because I was expecting to see Paleozoics, I wanted to make him, when you make him unaffected by traps with Bixie, not only is he unaffected by traps, but they can't use water effects. So they can't use any of the frogs, and they can't use any of their traps, so it's an automatic win, which is insane. And Chao Feng is actually really, really powerful because he affects the player and not the monster. He says that your opponent can't activate any monster effects with his attribute. So he's actually stronger than Chlamydia if you're just trying to negate stuff. Because it doesn't activate, it's just a skill drain on legs, literally. And like if you play skill drain, he's unaffected by it. You just have to make them right.
This guy right here is the best artwork.
Bro, he has a mustache and a beard.
This dude.
He looks like a sage, bro. He has a mustache and a beard.
So dope.
He's awesome. Like, he looks so freaking wise, man. He looks like somebody I seen on Mortal Kombat. 2 copies of Chi Win. Chi Win is the card that's like spiking up in price. Me personally, I don't really like the Dino Yang Zing. I feel that it kind of has cheeky combos, but it can never produce the combos that Yang Zings can produce. It never can. And it can never utilize their effects to synchro summon on the opponent's turn to the maximum potential. But I get it, you know. It's like you've seen somebody doing it and you just want to do it. Because I promise, Dino Yang Zings was like an OCG thing, and, you know, we tend to copy those agents. 1 copy of Pulao, because for the most part, he is a win target, but I never really like use Mariamne to summon, especially playing 1. So sometimes I just use him to make my synchros unaffected by spells, because going into games 2 and 3, I know that they're side deck and board wipes, like Dark Holes, Raigeki, and Slumber. So I'll make my synchro unaffected by spells. And he's also an additional name to flow into, so it works out pretty well. And then my favorite of all the worm types, aside from Lithosogem itself, is Magma Dragon. Magma Dragon is just so insane. Like, you bring him from your deck with Barastos. Then after that, you have Baxia and you have Lithosogem to keep special summoning him. Every time you special him, he special summons any worm type, which is basically like everything. Except he's not like Lithosogem where it has to be Earth, so you can actually use him to bring back Lithosogem, then Lithosogem brings something back. Like, dude, the deck is like crazy. Like, it even has insane recovery. And the next portion of the deck is just the hand traps. So this is what I had to like cut ratios. Like, this is why I'm only playing like 1 Mariamne and 1 Agni Mazut, because I had to make room to the hand traps. And shout outs to my teammate Eric and also Claudio, because they lended us Ghost Ashes and just really, really good staples that we needed. So this was the MVP today. 3 copies of Ghost Ash or Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. The chick's forehead is so big, bro. I don't even understand why they made it that way. But she is really, really strong. Last night when I was playtesting with my homie Carlos, I normal summoned this chick and synchroed with Swanee into a freaking Yazi. Oh my goodness. And I have to tell you guys this, because I did it today. When Chao Fang's destroyed, he adds any tuner from your deck to your hand. And there's a combo when I made him, then popped him with Lithosogem and an Earth, and then searched her out purposely, because I already had 9 pillars and I wanted to just have a crazy opening. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice his skill drain effect to search for an Ash. And then I made a Calamities. I was going to say Chlamydia again. And then I had Ash, Calamities. I had a floater in double 9 pillars. Like, I felt like I literally had game. And just the Calamities alone was enough. But, like, the Ash was overkill. The 9 pillars was overkill. I thought I would need it, and I didn't even need it. Like, I just savaged him so bad. And then the dude was complaining. He was like, you just had a good opening. I'm like, nah, man. Like, this is how my deck works. It's not like I was lucky. Like, it's just the combos, man. And then 1 Maxi, you have to play the ulti because you draw way more, and it's very true. Ooh. It's very true. So these were the 4 hand traps I chose to play. In addition to them being hand traps, they actually have attributes which match the attributes for your True Kings. It's just food for thought, because it could come up if you have that hand where it's like,
have to.
I don't have it. You know what? I'm gonna have to sacrifice this hand trap so I can make my Chlamydia.
No Ghost Ogres?
No Ghost Ogres for me. The reason why is because it doesn't have the attribute for any of my True Kings. And I felt like Ghost Ogres just weren't good enough for me, because like I synchro on my opponent's turn a lot. So like instead of Ghost Ogring, for the most part, I always set myself up to make Baxia on their turn. And like if they know what Yang Zings do, they make mediocre boards on purpose because they know it's going to get shuffled. And if they don't know, they just get everything shuffled. But it basically, it's like when you have the way to synchro for Baxia on your opponent's turn, it's better than having Maxia in your hand. Because it puts the same pressure and has it in the mentality, well, if I overextend, it's going to all get shuffled back anyways. So they kind of make like a mediocre board so they get to save resources in hand. But the problem is when I shuffle their field, next turn I attack for game. So it's just like, either way you're going to win. Like they have to basically stop the synchro summon, which means they would have to go first. And then, of course, we're playing 3 copies of Optimus Prime. And then 3 double Ds, big titties. So we got 6 big titties all day for the combos. Like when you open with this, dude, it's so crazy. Like it's just, I feel that this is better in this deck than it is in True Dracos or in Dinos. Even if you could pop Baby Search, like you could pop any Yang Zing and get the floater that you need. Like if you need Jiaotu, or like there's times when I open double Diagram and just 1 floater and then like 2 9 pillars or a strike. I would literally like use the 2 diagrams riding on that 1 floater and get 2 free pots basically, because the Yang Zing always replaces itself, and then end up with Beyond and then Barastos and the True King Lithosogem, and then do my whole combo. Like it's crazy. So I really, really love it. And I also, this is another thing that people may say this is weird. I was playing 3 Yang Zing's path. I had to cut it in order, you know, to make room for the Ghost Ashes. So as I explained to you guys, I basically cut certain numbers on the cards. Like, I still have the card itself, so I'm not really losing anything. I'm just losing numbers on it. But I actually didn't have a grind game that came up where it's like, oh, I wish I had the 3rd path. I actually, like, every game that I had, I either savaged them or they savaged me. And I got savaged one time. Then the second time, I actually misplayed. And the 3rd time, like, we went all the way into time, and I was down by 500 life points. And he ended up getting it. And I was kind of like, you know what, man? I have to shake your hand, because it's not like, you know, anything happened where I couldn't win. Like, I played to the best of my abilities, and you basically just out-resourced me. And then 1 Soul Charge. Naturally, I just wanted to play Broken Spell. So, like, if I draw any spell in this deck, I'm really, really happy. And for the most part, Path, I'll search it before I draw it. So, I'm really, really happy with this spell lineup. I wouldn't change anything. The reason why I'm not maining, like, Raigekis and Dark Holes is because my deck actually doesn't need them. Like, my board wipes are actually when I synchro on my opponent's turn, or when I use Calamities, you know, to pop my opponent's monsters and banish their back rows. And also, in addition to that, if I drew a spell, I wanted it to have synergy with my combos. Raigeki and Dark Hole don't have really, like, good synergy, so I wanted spells that would get me a lot of advantage. So that's why I only main deck the good ones. For me, the ones that only benefit me. And then for the traps, I'm playing 3 copies of Mirror Force. I explained this to you guys. I was expecting to see a lot of dinos, but funny thing, I saw a lot more zoos. And this card didn't do too well against one of my zoo matchups because he had like double Pianissimo and he had my body as a shield. I baited the my body because he tried to use it on my True King, and he didn't realize that when a True King's destroyed, that its effect activates. So I ended up, like, I revealed the Thosajim to pop one of my monsters on field. He my body to shield the Thosajim, and I brought back Dinlong and then made back Sia and cleared his whole field. And then I realized, like, when I shuffled the back rows, like, he showed me he had double Pianissimo. And the same dude in game 3, he Pianissimo'd when I activated Mirror Force and saved one of his guys. And like, even though he saved one of his guys, like, I still cleared the other one. So I felt like Mirror Force was just such a powerful card. And of course, like, when I played a Conductor Tyranno today, like, this was the only reason why I won. Like, this was literally the only reason. Like, he booked all of my floaters and was getting ready to just go, you know, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. I was like, just Mirror Force, got it. So that's why I'm main decking the Mirror Forces, and I wouldn't change that at all, because I just want to be ready for Whiptail, and I want to be ready for Conductor. Like, I know what my deck loses to, and that's why I play Mirror Forces on purpose in the main. 3-9 Pillars is the most skillful negate. It not only prepares you for Chain Burn, but this is kind of like Solemn Judgment. It's the only counter trap right now that's searchable that can negate other counter traps. Like, in the True King Yang Zing Dino matchup, like, this was so cool. So, like, he activated Conductor. I striked his Conductor, and he used his 9 pillars to pop his Dinlong. I activated my 9 pillars. He activated another 9 pillars because he had a Chi Win on field. I activated a second 9 pillars, and then popped. The whole chain resolved, and my Dinlong still got to float because Dinlong was an if effect. He called the judge because he was like, Yang Zing's missed timing. I was like, Dinlong's not a win, it's an if. Dinlong's different from the other floaters. Then he ended up looking like an idiot. And he looked like more of an idiot because it was literally like counter trap, counter trap, counter trap, counter trap, and I still got it. Like, dude, it was like the first time that ever happened to me. But I was like, you know what? This is why I'm glad that I actually play like the strikes and the 9 pillars. So that sums up the main deck, and it's a little trap heavy. But I kind of I like opening up with a fat field of monsters and then back row to protect myself just in case. You just never know what happens. Moving forward to the extra deck. This is a real MVP, Chao Feng. He's the best negator because, like I said, he doesn't affect the monsters. When I played True Dracos, I made him with light, and Masterpiece could never activate his effect because my opponent can't use light monsters. Masterpiece, it didn't matter what he was unaffected by. This directly affects the player. And it was really, really clutch because he actually was unaffected by traps and couldn't be destroyed by battle. So he couldn't out it, and I kind of just sat on it and waited and waited and waited and waited and just grinded out. Like, the first game, I won just because I was just grinding him out. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't like I savaged him. It's just I just out-resourced him, basically. 3 Chlamydias. I'm playing 3 of him because I go into him a lot, and also for the Dino matchup, if they even want to touch it, I still have 2. But playing 3 also kind of scares them away from ever touching it because they're like, what's the point? He still has 2. So I always get to keep my Chlamydias, which I really, really like a lot. Like, there's a combo when I literally, popped Lithosajim and then brought him back from the graveyard and then revealed Lithosajim and popped Dryden and Hammer Kong. And the dude, like, he was like, you can't do that. I was like, he doesn't have to have XYZ materials. Then he read Lithosagem, he read Calamities, and he was like, okay, hold on, I have a response. I was like, when I revealed it and you said it's fine, it's too late. When I revealed that was your chance to respond. He tried to, like, get the judge, and the judge ruled in my favor. I'm like, dude, come on now. Like, you didn't know what I was doing. That's why you said the response is, like, it's fine. You didn't realize that I could pop your monsters. So I ended up clearing Hammer Kong and Dryden. Then I banished his Charcanine, his Tiger Mortar, and his Dweller. I was like, I'm good. I got this. And then 3 copies of Baxia. I made this on my opponent's turn 3 times today. The best one was when I made Pulao, Swanee, Bixie, and Chi Win, and I literally shuffled 4 cards. There was a time when I actually misplayed with him against True Dracos and made his effect mistiming. That kind of makes my balls hurt because if I had not misplayed that game, that would have been my win, and I would be X2 and not X3. But nonetheless, Baxia is just insane. And also because he targets a card you control, when you put him in your extra monster zone, you can actually clear him from your extra monster zone using his own effect, and you can summon Chlamydia still, which is really insane. 2 copies of Dinlong. He's the best synchro, and he's the best tuner. When you synchro with him and you make your Baxia, you can actually set up Baxia's Chainlink 1, which means no matter what, I'm shuffling your field, in addition to me getting a floater. And it's really fun to synchro with him when you're making Black Rose, which I'll explain that as well, because like I had him and Bixie, and I Black Rose my opponent on his turn. Like I first turned Dinlong and Bixie, and then Black Rosed him, and I set up Dinlong as Chainlink 2, Black Rose as Chainlink 1, so I brought out my floater. Resolution destroyed my floater, brought out Chi Win and Swanee, made another Dinlong. The dude is like, you got it, you got it. I was like, and I'm sitting here like with 4 cards in hand, and I just searched the path like, I mean, you don't have nothing else. You're going to scoop her, I'm going to kill you. 1 copy of Yazi. I really love this guy a lot. If you make him unaffected by traps, and with Beyond, he can be destroyed by battle. He can be targeted, and traps can't hurt him. So the pure true Dracos actually don't have a out unless they're main decking Kaijus. And obviously they're playing Demise. They're playing Duality, so they can't Kaiju if they play those cards. So they naturally, you know, going into games 2 and 3, they have an out to this. But when you make this game 1, it's an auto win. Like, I've never lost with this guy playing against True Dracos. The only methods they have are targeting. And if he's unaffected by traps, you can't kill him with the traps. Can't pop him with Masterpiece. You can't Apocalypse to have him. And he can't be destroyed by battle anyways. So he's just really, really strong. 1 BLs, I never made him today. But he's like an auto win against certain decks. One day I'm going to make him. And I just really want to make him to have fun. 1 Blackwing, I want it to be ready for Chainburn and Trickstars. I really, really like this card a lot. Because he actually is in each time, so he's not actually an activation, so they can't strike him. He's similar to Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon, or even Trickstar Canadia or Licorice. It's an each time effect, so each time they would burn, he just puts a counter on himself. Then you can remove all the counters on him, make a monster's attack basically 0, and then you could just beat over the crap. And then he goes and resets himself, because he's at 28. He basically got 7, 14, 21, 28. He can stop 4 burns. So in chain burns, they would have to go into a chain link 5 or higher with 5 different burns cards, which means that's 5 of your back row, son. And the 5th one is the only one that's going to burn me. All the other in resolution can't burn me because of him. And because it's each time, he doesn't have to chain to your burn cards. He doesn't have to chain to Just Desserts. He doesn't have to chain, what is it, like chain burn or something like that? I forgot what it is. It's like a spell. Chain strike. There you go. Like, he doesn't chain to anything, so they can't even like negate his effect. It's continuous. I really, really like it a lot. It was like my secret tech to just be ready for everything to take today. And then Black Rose, I made it once, and it was on my opponent's turn. It was like, bro, like I was like, man, I wish I had this on recording right now. Like, it was just so savage. And then Herald of the Arc Light, you actually can basically, Dinlong's effect, Foolish Burial. And I opened with double 9 pillars. Like, I 9 pillars Dinlong, then 9 pillars again, and then made Herald, and I had 3 negates. And the funny thing is, when he popped his baby from hand, because he had opened up like insane. He baited my first 9 pillars with Overraptor's effect. He baited the second one with Diagram. And then I made this guy lastly, and then he diagrammed to pop a baby from hand, searched the Thosagem and said baby's effect. I was like, read this. It was sent from the hand, it's banished, no baby's effect. And he's like, I'm like, man, I know you play this card. Like, come on, don't try to play dumb right now. Phantom Fortress, I never made it. I always make Chlamydia if I go into a rank 9. I actually picked up this rank 9 called Heart Earth, and I want to try him out. He's really, really savage. And then the extra, that's it for the extra deck. The side deck is 3 Drill and Lockbirds to be ready for everything. 3 raw spear mode. This was to be ready for World Challenge and Dinos. And I just kind of like random decks that just overextend too much and like they're naturally just going too far. And this really punishes players. Like back in the day when people would make like... The reason why I started playing this card was like when DDDs would make like Crystal Wing and Siegfried and Titanic Galaxy and flip vanities. It was like you would lose, but when you tribute all 3 of them, you clear them and the vanities. So that's why like I kept playing this card. It breaks any unbreakable board. That's why I love raw spear mode. And then the 3 kaijus. Shout outs to Colton for the super, because I'm a rarity hoe and I wanted like all super, you know, kaijus, and I got that. I play the fire one for my fire true king, earth for my earth true king, water for my water true king. So not only are they kaijus, but they actually help me for my combos, which I love. 2 Zephion. This is for the True Draco matchup and Chain Burn, and also for Trick Stars. I just wanted to be ready for them. Double Dark Hole, Raigeki, and 1 Slumber. Last night I decided to take out my 2nd Slumber, actually to make space in my side deck. And the reason why, I just came to the conclusion, like, you know what, if I draw 1 kaiju and I have 2 slumbers in my deck, one of them is going to be dead automatically. And even though you could play 2 to have a chance to draw into it, not only can this be ashed, but I just felt like, you know what, my deck already breaks boards so well, and I'm main decking like literally a Raigeki on my opponent's turn. I was like, you know what, let's just cut 1 slumber and make space for 1 more card. So for the most part, I'm really happy with how the deck functioned, and all my matches were really good. Like, I can't really say like, oh, I bricked and I lost. Like, every game that I lost was fair and square, and I'm not that kind of dude that's going to complain. Like, the deck performs really well, and I love it a lot, and I'm going to keep playing it. Like, I feel like this deck is kind of a sleeper, and I just really love like how Yang Zings operate. Like, Yang Zings have always been a sleeper deck since they came out. Like, they've never been like the top anything. Thank you guys so much for watching the deck profile. Shout outs to Yugioh. Shout outs to Cali Effect. Shout outs to DZ. Shout outs to Team APS. And shout outs to MetaMats, that's our sponsor, and every other YouTuber that I named, that's who we're working with now. We're planning on doing a table talk with all those YouTubers that I just explained, and we're all planning on talking about the ban list. We're going to talk about the meta up to date, and we're kind of just going to do something different, you know, where all the YouTubers, instead of competing with each other, we're going to get together. And I was like really happy that they called me out and were like, 3 Stacks, you know, we want to work with you. We really love your content. I was like, thank you. I will. But thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day. Be safe, make good choices, and don't hurt your brain cells. Peace.